Hello, in this video we're going to discuss Yorky the Black Knight from Kent, part 3. So, as a squire, Yorky's knight used to beat him up, and one day Yorky gave the knight a hiding, and then the knight stopped beating him up. A lot of knights in the old days used to beat up their squires, and some even rape them. With Yorky, he during his squireship, one day, this was under King George the First, who had a son who's George the Second. They used to just call him George II. One day they were fighting the Welsh, and Yorky's knight got unseated. He got injured and fell backwards off his horse. The horse's name is Horse. Yorky went in to assist, and there was 12 knights who were surrounding Yorky's knight, and Yorky killed all of them. His knight died, and he climbed up the rope up the side of the horse, and from then on Yorky was a knight. As you see there's a list of the archangels from heaven who in fact came to earth as squires. So it's Gabriel, Nathan, God, who was known as Golly, Squiddy Jr., Joshua, and Sammy. So Sammy is Jesus' younger brother. He's the second oldest in God and Mary's children. So once Yorky had established himself as a knight, from then on he was able to get some of these people to come and join him as squires. With Gabriel as a squire, they had to go to France and do jousting. When they came back, King Henry VIII from Wales had gone to England and taken over the castle. And so they had to lay siege to their own castle. Henry VIII had taken some women who were passing by hostage as well. He was crazy, he was possessed by Satan, and had smeared fecal matter all over his face and head. He was wandering around at the top of the castle wall, and they'd killed everyone inside the castle when they took it. When George the First saw this, he was furious. And George the Second saw this, he was furious, and they had to lay siege to their own castle. Henry VIII came to the castle wall and started begging for mercy after Yorky killed one of his messengers at the bottom of the castle wall. So Yorky went up to the gate. There was a moat at that back then as well. The castle had in fact been constructed by heaven after Noah's flood and hidden, and wasn't discovered until later. So a lot of these castles were built by heaven, and people just moved into them. It's very, very difficult to build a castle. A lot of constructions like that, it takes resources and money which just don't exist back then. So Yorky went to the gate. They lowered the drawbridge because he said, "I'm an official of the siege party." They let him in, and when he got inside, he attacked the guys that control the drawbridge. Upon seeing this, the rest of the army poured in and went in, and they retook the castle. It was a very quick siege. Yorky, followed by Gabriel, made their way into the keep and captured King Henry VIII, who was begging, and Yorky removed his head and found all the gold that the and money that the king had, King Henry VIII. For Gabriel, Yorky gave Gabriel Henry VIII's head, and this promoted Gabriel in the eyes of King George to knight, so he was allowed a horse. They had a second horse back then, but Yorky wouldn't let Gabriel ride it because he's just a squire. That's how things were back then. The other thing Yorky had was he made himself a pair of pliers and would pull gold teeth out of people for money. Back then, in order to get a person to have gold teeth, what they would do is a person would go see the person who does gold teeth. They would hang the person upside down, and it's a barbaric practice. Tie the arms and legs down so they can't get away, and they put dunnage around the place where the gold's going to go, but none over the gum, and then they pour molten gold down into the mouth over the place where it's supposed to go. The guys who do the gold teeth are quite brutal, and they also have a habit of dislocating people's jaws. And once they're dislocated, the people can't get them put back in, so they wind up walking around with their mouth open all the time. So that was a barbaric practice back then, and so Yorky would find, after battle, he'd go in and look at all the bodies and go through them and pull gold teeth out. With the squires in battle, that, as I said in an earlier video, they would work alongside the soldiers, and often they would all be extremely happy and hyped after the battle. The soldiers were quite nasty. They would kill people and rape them and gang rape them. Yorky's policy is he would kill rapists and pedophiles, and so he warned Gabriel not to hang out with the soldiers after battle, but Gabriel did so anyway, and then Yorky turned up on his horse and was looking for Gabriel. Gabriel saw Yorky and ran away, but Yorky spotted him and later gave him hiding. With the soldiers, when he found them, the ones that were committing the rape, he killed them with his horse and with his mace. Back then, the families used to travel with the army. So wherever the army went, the families went. And they would pack their gear and follow. So knights had their families with them the whole time. There'd be a big space between units as knights travelled. They would often have their families follow. Often their families had horses, because the knights would manage to capture a horse when they unseated other knights. So they had their families with them. Sometimes the soldiers would kill people and their families by drowning them in the river. And so Yorky found out about this and went down there and killed the soldiers that were doing it and put a stop to it. The archers, I can say, were quite nasty too. So when they were travelling through towns, often the archers, the longbowmen, would shoot children as they went through a town of a family, then the family would be mourning the child, and they'd get outside the town, and then Yorky would approach the archer who did it with his mace and put his mace to the face of the individual who did it and drag them back into the town and kill them in front of the family that was mourning. The archers responded by taking pot shots at Yorky, which made him angry. The archers wear light clothing. They carry a 50-pound quiver full of arrows and a longbow, and that's it. They don't wear helmets. They run everywhere, and if they catch other people, as I said, who are carrying longbows, they'll kill them. So longbow is a powerful weapon. Yorky had one longbow which he used for hunting. One day an archer took a pot shot at Yorky. Yorky went after him and wound up killing 50 archers over the incident. And so King George II brought in a law which still exists to this day, where archers aren't allowed to shoot their own knights or soldiers. I'm the Archangel Daniel, and I'm from heaven.